The process server walked into my office at 2:47 p.m. on a Thursday, disrupting my team meeting with a thick manila envelope and the words that would change everything. Melissa Harper, you're being served. 20 pairs of eyes watched as I signed for the documents, my hands steady despite the churning in my stomach. I knew who this was from before I even opened it. Only one person in my life had the audacity to sue me for finally saying no. Take 5, everyone, I managed, waiting until the conference room emptied before breaking the seal. Invoiced FRDMAGES. From Brandon Harper to Melissa Harper. Amount due $500,000. Itemized list. Emotional damage from premature cessation of support $200,000. Lost career opportunities 2014 to 2024 $150,000. Psychological trauma from abandonment $100,000. Future therapy costs $50,000. Payment due within 30 days or legal action will proceed. My phone buzzed immediately. Brandon, of course. Did you get it? His voice held that familiar whine I've been funding for a decade. My lawyer says you have to pay. You ruined my life when you cut me off. Brandon, I said carefully, you're 35 years old. Exactly. And I have nothing because you stopped supporting me right when I was about to make it big. Make it big doing what? You've had 14 different careers in 10 years. That's the point. You never let me find myself. You just threw money at me to keep me quiet, and now when I actually need you, you abandon me. My therapist says you created a codependency that you exploited. I hung up and immediately called my accountant, Diane Winters. She'd been managing my finances and documenting my brother's drain on them since I started my tech company 8 years ago. Diane, I need you to pull everything related to Brandon. Every payment, every transfer, every. Already done, she interrupted, and I could hear the smile in her voice. I've been waiting for this day. When do you want to meet with the lawyers? He actually invoiced me, Diane, for ruining his life. Perfect. That means he's put a number on it. Makes our job easier when we show what you've actually spent. An hour later, I sat in my attorney's office, watching his eyes widen as Diane spread 10 years of documentation across his conference table. Let me make sure I understand, said James Morrison, senior partner at Morrison & Associates. You've been supporting your adult brother since you were 22. Since our parents died, I confirmed. I was in my last year of college. Brandon was 25. He said he just needed some time to grieve before getting back on his feet. And in 10 years, he's held a job for 43 days total. His longest employment was 2 weeks at a coffee shop. He quit because they wanted him to work mornings. James reviewed the papers, occasionally whistling low. According to these records, you've paid his rent for 120 consecutive months. Plus utilities, groceries, car payments, insurance, cell phone, internet, and what he called basic living expenses. I pointed to one column. That doesn't include the investments in his various business ventures. Business ventures. Diane pulled out another folder. Food truck that never bought food. Recording studio that never recorded anything. Cryptocurrency consulting firm with no clients. Motivational speaking career with no speeches. Life coaching certification he never completed. DJ equipment for the career that lasted 1 gig. Photography business that took 0 professional photos. Personal training certification he failed. App development course he dropped out of. And my personal favorite, the meditation retreat center he was going to open once he found the right vibes. Total investment in these ventures? James asked. $73,000, Diane said, on top of the $312,000 in basic support over 10 years. James leaned back. So you've given him $385,000, and he's suing you for $500,000 more. Because I ruined his life by stopping, I said. Last month I told him I was done. I'm getting married, buying a house, starting my own family. I can't keep funding his refusal to grow up. What triggered the decision to cut him off? I pulled out my phone, showing them Brandon's Instagram. He posted photos from his business trip to Cabo. While I was paying his rent, he was at an all-inclusive resort. When I confronted him, he said he needed it for networking. And the legal basis for his lawsuit. James read through Brandon's filing. He's claiming promissory estoppel, that you made promises of continued support that he relied on to his detriment. Also, intentional infliction of emotional distress and breach of implied contract. His lawyer is his roommate from college, Diane noted. Kevin something. Failed the bar twice before passing. Good news is, this is garbage, James said. Bad news is, we still have to respond. Good news again. Diane's documentation is going to make this very interesting. Over the next week, I tried to focus on work while James prepared our response. Brandon, meanwhile, escalated his campaign. He called my fiancé, David, claiming I was financially abusive. He posted on social media about being betrayed by blood. He even showed up at my engagement party. How could you? He shouted, bursting in during toasts. I'm your brother, your only family, and you're choosing these strangers over me. Brandon, you're drunk, I'd said quietly, trying to guide him out. I'm not drunk, I'm betrayed. 10 years, Mel. 10 years you promised to take care of me, and now what? You found a man and suddenly I'm disposable? Security had escorted him out, but not before he yelled, "You'll pay for this. My lawyer says you created a dependency. You owe me." The court date came faster than expected. Brandon had pushed for an expedited hearing, claiming immediate financial hardship. I sat with James and Diane at defendant's table, watching Brandon swagger in with Kevin, the barely lawyer. Brandon wore a suit I recognized. I'd bought it for a job interview he'd never attended. Your Honor, Kevin began, clearly nervous, my client has suffered immeasurable damage due to his sister's cruel and calculated withdrawal of support. For 10 years, she created a situation of complete dependence, preventing him from achieving independence, and then arbitrarily terminated this support, leaving him destitute. Judge Patricia Hawkins, a woman who looked like she'd seen every scam in the book, raised an eyebrow. Counselor, your client is 35 years old. At what point does personal responsibility factor in? Your Honor, the psychological damage. I'll hear from the defense. James stood, smiled, and opened Diane's meticulously prepared binder. Your Honor, we have here comprehensive documentation of 10 years of financial support. May I approach? The judge nodded, and James handed her the summary sheet. As you can see, Ms. Harper has provided her brother with $385,000 over 10 years. This includes full rent, utilities, food, transportation, and funding for 14 separate business ventures, none of which generated any income. Objection, Kevin squeaked. Those ventures failed because of my client's mental state, caused by. Overruled. Continue, Mr. Morrison. Furthermore, we have documentation showing that during this period of supposed hardship and dependence, Mr. Harper took 6 vacations to tropical destinations, purchased a $3,000 gaming system, and maintained memberships at 3 separate gyms he never attended. Brandon shifted in his seat. I noticed sweat beading on his forehead. Most interestingly, James continued, we have evidence that Mr. Harper has actually been earning income during this period. What? I turned to stare at Brandon. He wouldn't meet my eyes. James pulled out another document. 3 years ago, Mr. Harper inherited $50,000 from his grandmother's estate. Instead of using this for living expenses or informing his sister she could reduce support, he invested it in cryptocurrency. According to public blockchain records, that investment is now worth approximately $400,000. The courtroom went silent. Even Kevin looked shocked. Additionally, James continued, relentless. Mr. Harper has been earning money as an online gaming streamer for the past 18 months, averaging $2,000 per month in donations and subscriptions. This income was never disclosed to Ms. Harper, who continued paying all his expenses. Is this true, Mr. Harper? Judge Hawkins asked. Brandon mumbled something. Speak up. It's not that much money, he said defensively, and streaming is hard work. I needed Melissa's support to focus on building my audience. So you were earning $2,000 a month, had $400,000 in cryptocurrency, and still took your sister's money. The crypto could crash any day, and streaming income isn't stable. I needed security. Judge Hawkins turned to me. Ms. Harper, when did you discover this? About 5 minutes ago, Your Honor, I said, my voice shaking. I had no idea. Mr. Harper, the judge's voice could have frozen fire. You've committed fraud. Your sister could sue you for every penny she's given you under false pretenses. Instead, you're here suing her. she promised. Brandon stood up, Kevin frantically trying to pull him down. She said she'd always take care of me. Our parents died, and she promised. I was 22. I finally exploded. You were 25. I was a college student who just lost her parents, and you were an adult who refused to get a job. I supported you while building my own career from nothing. I went without so you could have everything. And you were secretly rich the whole time. It's not like that. Motion to dismiss? James asked calmly. Granted. With prejudice. Mr. Harper, you're lucky your sister isn't pressing fraud charges. Yet. Judge Hawkins looked at me. Ms. Harper, you have grounds for a countersuit to recover funds obtained through fraud. I suggest you consider it. But Brandon started. Furthermore, the judge continued, I'm ordering you to pay your sister's legal fees for this frivolous lawsuit. Mr. Harper, a word of advice. Your sister gave you a decade of unconditional support most people never get. The fact that you're here, trying to extract more while hiding assets, shows a breathtaking lack of character. Case dismissed. The gavel came down with finality. In the hallway afterward, Brandon tried to approach me. David stepped between us. Mel, please, Brandon called over David's shoulder. I can explain. The crypto thing, I was going to tell you. I just wanted to make sure it was stable first. When? I asked. When it hit $1 million? 2? When were you planning to stop taking my money? I don't know. I was scared. What if I lost it all? Then you get a job like everyone else. You don't understand. You've always been the smart one, the successful one. Everything comes easy to you. I laughed, actually laughed. Easy? I worked 80-hour weeks building my company while paying for your life. I skipped meals to afford your groceries. I drove a 15-year-old car so you could have a new one. Nothing came easy, Brandon. I just did it anyway. I'm your brother, he said desperately. Doesn't that mean anything? It meant everything. That's why I supported you for 10 years. But family isn't a free pass to exploit someone forever. Diane approached with final numbers. Based on the evidence, you could recover at least $150,000 in fraudulently obtained support. Want me to prepare the paperwork? I looked at Brandon, really looked at him. 35 years old, still playing the victim, still believing the world owed him everything while he contributed nothing. No, I decided. Consider it a $150,000 lesson in why I'm done. Brandon, you have $400,000 in crypto. That's more than enough to start over. What you do with it is your choice. But you'll do it without me. Mel. And if you ever contact me again, I will pursue fraud charges. That's not a threat. It's a promise. 3 months later, I married David in a small ceremony. Brandon wasn't invited, but I heard through mutual acquaintances that he finally gotten a job. Probably because his lawyer roommate kicked him out after the catastrophic lawsuit. My company is thriving. I can finally invest profits back into growth instead of into Brandon's learned helplessness. David and I bought our house and are planning for children who will learn that love means support, not enablement. Diane still keeps those files though, 10 years of receipts, transfers, and evidence. Proof that I gave everything I could until there was almost nothing left of me. Proof that Brandon took it all and demanded more. Proof that sometimes the best thing you can do for someone is stop saving them from themselves. He invoiced me for ruining his life, but the real invoice, the one written in years of sacrifice and enabling, had finally been paid in full. And the receipt? A dismissed lawsuit and the freedom to live my own life. Some bills, it turns out, you should never have started paying in the first place.